Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road. Plus Ultra! Hey guys, and welcome back to What If Tanjiro Was Yoriichi Sukakuni's Reincarnation. This is part 4 to this series. Sorry for the long wait for this episode. I was kind of contemplating ending it at part 3, but since you guys really wanted part 4 to happen, here it is. It's all thanks to the support that you guys have given this series. So if you want part 5, show that same support, and then I'll release part 5. But I'm gonna be generous, and I'm gonna say that if you want part 5 to this video, release 40 likes, and I'll release part 5. This time, I'll try to release it consecutively so you don't be out of there and everything. Anyway, so we pick up where we left off with the Entertainment District, Red Light District arc being completed, and everyone doesn't just have minor injuries except for Zenitsu, who's got broken legs. So they go back to Shinobu's mansion and everyone rests up for the set days so they can get back their energy. So Tanjiro and Inosuke makes a full recovery in less than a day or two, and Zenitsu is the one who has to rest a little bit more. Now, once he does rest, he gets a mission of his own and he has to set on his own journey. Now, Tanjiro does tell Canal and them that he needs a new sword because his sword blade is chipped and he can't fight with a chipped blade. They tell him that he should head to the swordsmith village. And this is all while Inosuke is climbing on top of a roof. Well, basically the ceiling. And they notices that with Tanjiro not making much of a reaction to it, but just saying, "Oh, hey Inosuke." And most of the other people in there are shocked that this guy is just on the roof like that, like a fuck spider. Anyway, I'm not going to go in that much detail with that. But yeah, so with that, the kids tell Tanjiro that he has to go to the swordsmith village to get Hotaru to fix his his blade. And he tells him that, and he gets a sweat by that. He says, "I don't think Hotaru is going to be very happy that I chipped this blade." Oh, well. Anyway, so Tanjiro then makes his way towards the swordsmith village, be getting blindfolded and switching out crows and all that other good stuff. So, but once he gets there, he looks for the chief. And once the chief found him, they let him know that they've been looking for Hotaru. Basically, he's just disappeared and they don't know where he is. So the chief tells Tanjiro to basically go to the hot springs and enjoy himself. And Tanjiro, on his way there, he runs into the Hashira, the love Hashira, and she sees Tanjiro and rushes up to him with a pout face saying, "Why did you knock me out? I was on your side." And Tanjiro would just kindly say, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was in the heat of the moment. I thought you guys all were going to attack me. I kind of knew what you were talking about. Anyway, I didn't mean anything about it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to knock you out." And this is where she would say apology accepted and all that kind of stuff. So Tanjiro and Mitsuri would talk with each other. Anyway, that would play out the same way as it did in canon, with Mitsuri telling Tanjiro that there is a special device in the village that will make him get very strong. Tanjiro already is remarkably stronger, but that will help him be even more strong than usual. So with that being said, this is where Tanjiro basically gets done with his bath and everything, and he's walking around the village and basically trying to think about this weapon that Mitsuri was talking about, and also trying to figure out where Hotaru really is. Now, on this, he sees Muichiro, basically rough handling this kid, and Muichiro says, "Are you not gonna give it to me?" And he says, "No, I'm not giving you the key." Muichiro, all of a sudden, his hand was getting ready to whack the kid, but Tanjiro grabbed his wrist. And this is where he would tell Tanjiro, "You, let go," by sending a punch to Tanjiro's abdominal area, but Tanjiro just stood there like the punch did not faze him. And this is where he would say, "Hey, didn't I knock you out before? It's quite rude to just roughhouse your way and try to get a key from a kid. Now apologize." This is where Muichiro tries to punch Tanjiro again by being shocked by Tanjiro's strength. Tanjiro just lets out a sigh and he neck chops Muichiro to the ground, and Muichiro gets knocked out. This is where he says, "I'm sorry about him. He's got some personality issues and everything. He doesn't really mean what he did, but it's just his head, and he has amnesia, put it that way." And this is where the kid is shocked by his strength. He just knocked out a Hashira. Are you a Hashira too? And Tanjiro says, "Well, no, not necessarily, but I'm not a Hashira, but I am a strong swordsman and everything." This is where, well, Kotetsu would introduce himself saying, "Hi, I'm Kotetsu," and he would say, "I am Tanjiro Kamado." So he would get the idea to basically show Tanjiro what Muichiro was trying to get a hold of, and he would show Tanjiro the device. And this is where Tanjiro would say, "Whoa, this looked like Yoriichi Sugakuni." And this is where Kotetsu would apply, saying, yeah, it was modeled after him because he's a very strong swordsman, and we wanted to basically use this doll as a training thing to help swordsmen become stronger. Tanjiro notes that why does it have 6 arms? To basically mimic the guy's strength. And this is where Tanjiro would just say, "Can I test it out?" And Kotetsu would be like, "Okay, go ahead." Now, while Tanjiro he's getting ready to fight against this Sugakuni, basically like doll. Now, while they both get into a fight, the sword arms are going everywhere in a fast-like motion, and Tanjiro is keeping up with it very easily. Now, this is where Tanjiro basically cuts off the head of the doll and then cuts off all 6 arms using the 13th form of sun breathing. Now, Kotetsu would be shocked, sad, crying about it, but he would also be happy and say, "Whoa, did you just use sun breathing? Are you?" And then Tanjiro would look at him and say, "Yeah, I'm just like Yoriichi Sugakuni. I have the same strength as he does. I'm probably even stronger than he is. Who knows? But what's that sticking out?" This is where Kotetsu would walk up and pull the sword out of the whole doll, and it's looked at and it says, he would hand it to Tanjiro, and this is where Tanjiro would say, "No, I can't accept that." And he would say, "Well, I'm the owner of this doll, and I don't even appreciate that you broke the doll, and it's going to be taking a while to fix, but this is something that was hidden in there, and you found it, so it is rightfully yours." So Tanjiro says, "So this sword has been in this doll for a while, hasn't it? I bet the blade is rusted." And to Tanjiro's surprise, the blade is actually rusted. So this is where Hotaru would come out of the woods and buffed. Like, this man is buffed up. Like, he's been in there working out for only a week and just got jacked. So with that, he would snatch the sword out of Tanjiro's hand, and this is where he would say, "I will fix this sword up for you, Tanjiro, and get it in perfect condition." And Tanjiro would say, "Oh, there you go, Hotaru, and you seem to have changed." This is where Hotaru would have a purplish, ominous glow around him and say, "I don't take too kindly about you chipping my blade, but I'll make sure that never happens. So I'll fix this blade up for you and make it very special." And this is where Tanjiro would say, "Thank you." Now, Tanjiro would have another makeshift sword, and this is where Muichiro would wake up, and he would tell Tanjiro that was not very nice, and you shouldn't go around just knocking Hashira out just because you can. And this is where Tanjiro would say, "But you shouldn't go around roughhousing people just because you can." Now, this is where Tanjiro would basically was doing a chopping motion on Michiro's head, and Michiro would just be looking at him with a very dull face. Now, this is where they would be in the house, and they would be talking. Now, this is where Nezuko comes out and does that whole little thing that she did in the manga where she just pumping her arms in there and just basically just having a rant and everything. Now, Muichiro tells Tanjiro that your sister is very unique, you know that. Out of all the demons that I've faced and all the demons that I've seen, she acts the most unique out of all of them. You barely can tell if she's a demon or not. She seems just like a normal human. And this is where Tanjiro would say, "That's what I've been trying to tell you guys." Now, this is where Tanjiro and Muichiro basically looks at the door and they feel an ominous presence over there. And this is where Upper Moon 4 Hantengu comes into the room. And you see him crying and everything, but in a fast motion. Tanjiro and Muichiro is right there. Tanjiro performs the first form dance while Muichiro performs his second form, fourth form, like they did in the manga. Now, this is where Muichiro and Tanjiro looks at the demon who just now appeared on the roof, and he's saying, "Don't hurt me, please. Don't hurt me." And this is where Tanjiro basically jumps up and does, he breathes and says, "Hino Kamikagura, sunflower thrust." But this is what the part is. Instead of him missing Hantengu like he did in canon and him dodging, he want to dodge this. Tanjiro would have been fast and pierced Hantengu. And this is where Muichiro would have came in and cut Hantengu's head off. Now, of course, they would have turned into the two demons by splitting their bodies into two. Now, of course, Muichiro would get blown out of the building just like he did in canon, and of course, Tanjiro would have to fight basically there's two demons by himself, with Hantengu being basically gone somewhere. Now, of course, Genya would come out, and I'm sad I didn't mention Genya, but of course, Genya would come out and shoot at the demon, blowing both of their heads off, and then they would create two more demons, to which it would cause some destruction while they were outside now. And then him and Genya are fighting these four demons. Now, with that being said, Tanjiro is basically getting ready to perform the 9th form of Hinokami Kagura. He's getting ready to say, Hinokami Kagura, dragon. And then all of a sudden this huge scream comes out and basically stuns Tanjiro as basically his nose starts bleeding and his ear starts bleeding as he falls through a bunch of trees. And this is where Tanjiro grips his stance and he shakes his head as his vision is distorted. But Tanjiro is saying in his head, so he has a scream attack. As another thing is getting ready to clinch onto Tanjiro, Tanjiro basically cuts it and basically, I'm stuttering. Sorry, I'm stuttering. I'm getting too hyped with this series. But so what he does is he performs the 12th form, Flame Dance, which is a 2 horizontal slash, and he cuts both of the demons' heads off, basically creating 2 more demons. Now, with this, Tanjiro notices that when he cut, and the more demons that he cuts, and the more they reproduce, the weaker and weaker and weaker they get. So Tanjiro is being fast with this, and he's telling Genya to keep up and shoot more of their heads off as they're speeding around. Like, Tanjiro is basically causing havoc to Hantengu right now. Hantengu is basically merged into just one, the hatred demon. As he hits his drum and this huge dragon comes out and hits Tanjiro, to which Tanjiro blocked by his blade, but he did take the blunt of that attack and he jumps away from it, clutching the side of his ribs, and he's saying, that caught me off guard, I wasn't prepared for that, but it won't happen again. As Tanjiro gets serious and he tells him that his blade just starts to turn red. And his blade is he's still using his chip blade because that's all he has until Hotaru gets done with the blade that he pulled out of the Yoriichi doll. So with that being said, Tanjiro and Genya are having to fight basically. Now, of course, Genya didn't get pierced like he did in the manga. He didn't get pierced through the stomach, so he didn't receive none of that damage that he did, even though he would have healed, but he didn't receive that much damage. Now, Nezuko, of course, would have transformed and everything, but Tanjiro would have looked at her and told her, don't transform any further, Nezuko, you're going to lose yourself. And she looks at Tanjiro and then just basically goes back to her kid form. Now, with all this being said, Tanjiro is basically fighting the hatred demon and they're going at it, with Tanjiro basically dodging some of the dragons and basically evading some of Hantengu's attacks. Now, with that, we do cut over to we do cut over to Muichiro, who's running back because she knows that something dangerous, bad is going on. She's coming there to help. And now we switch back to Muichiro. Now, Muichiro is fighting Upper Moon 5. Now, with this, that fish demon would cost him the same amount of trouble as he's protecting Kotetsu and he wasn't protecting the chief, it was some other guy, but he's protecting them and he's still stuck in his state with telling them to get out of the way or go hide, you're in my way. Now, with that, he still has the same thing done to him, and because I'm not going to try to focus too much on Muichiro, but he still has the same thing done to him with him getting his memories back and getting the upper hand on Upper Moon 5, basically cutting his head off and it falling to the ground. So really not much change there. Not really much change there. And the same thing happened with Muichiro, who came in and saved, the chief from the giant fish-like creature, basically cutting it all over with her whip-like sword. Now, with that being said, both of those battles would have been fixed relatively easy. Now, with that, we go back to Tanjiro, who is basically in an all-for-out fight with Hantengu. But it's not like Tanjiro is having a hard time fighting Hantengu. No, Tanjiro is basically having the upper hand with Hantengu getting madder and mad. And this is where now Muichiro joins in on the fight. Now, Muichiro and Tanjiro basically enact their skills together. Now, Tanjiro basically moves fluidly. He notices that her style of breathing is basically a descendant, basically an off-brand, not off-brand, but a branch of flame breathing. So he basically can flow with her pattern, more like basically enact her pattern just by looking at it. Not saying that Tanjiro's moving like Mitsuri. No, her style is unique to her. But basically, it's as if their styles is not overlapping each other or basically clashing against each other, if you get what I mean. So, Tanjiro and Mitsuri are causing Hantengu a huge problem right now. But the thing is, they still have to find the real body with that. So Genya goes out to see where he's at, and he's hiding behind a tree. And this is where Genya is getting ready to basically cut Hantengu, like the head off of Hantengu up in room 4. And this is where the guy would basically not be in front of Mitsuri and Tanjiro anymore. He would be right by Genya and pierce Genya through the chest. And this is where Genya, with eyes, would turn like red and have like he look like he's a demon almost. So this is where Mitsuri and Tanjiro would say they have to get to him fast, with Tanjiro just breathing in and saying, as he dashes forward in a blitz of speed and in a fast motion as he tells Genya to do it. He tells Genya to basically rip his sword through Hantengu's neck as he swings his blade while saying, Hinokami Kagura, clear blue sky, as he swings his sword at Hantengu, and the sword is almost halfway through Hantengu's neck, as Nezuko helps out Genya with his blade, making it red, basically the opposite of what she did for Tanjiro in the manga, and turns Genya's blade red, as they both cleave off both of their heads, killing the both of them. Now, this is where Tanjiro, I'm going to say, they disintegrate. Gone. They've won. So, without that much damage. Now, Mitsuri didn't get his damage as much, although they did, but she wasn't prepared to get hit with one of those sonic screams, but she still got hit nonetheless with a sonic scream, if you get what I'm saying. So, she still got damage, but it wasn't to the point to where she wouldn't have been, like, beat by Hantengu or nothing like that. Yeah. So, they came out on top with not that much damage done to anybody. Just minor injuries. Anyway, now we get to the part to where Tanjiro is now thinking. Now he sits down and he says, that's Upper Moon 4, and that's Upper Moon. While that's going on, he notices that while everything has been playing out, the sun has been up for a while. So Tanjiro gets a very cold feeling in his heart. And he looks at Nezuko, who is just standing casually in the sun, and she says, I'm happy. For the first time she talks, and Tanjiro says, Nezuko, you're in the sun. And Tanjiro is shocked by this, but he's also happy by this. But now Tanjiro is also nervous by this, because Nezuko is basically a demon. Demons can't come out in the sun. So while she's standing out in the sun, Tanjiro says this one word to Mitsuri. And he says, while a sword comes lying in front of him before he could finish what he was getting ready to say, he looks up to see that Muichiro threw the sword, and this is where Hotaru was giving him a wave saying, you're welcome, don't break it. Now with that, this is where he would tell Muichiro to come here, and Muichiro would go over there to where, but he would go over there to where they were and end up passing out. Tanjiro would have noticed this, so they would need to go back to Shinobu's mansion and basically get healed and basically get fixed up and all that. So, but this is where Tanjiro comes up to a conclusion where he gets all the Hashira together and he asks them that we need to go through a special design training. I already have my Demon Slayer marked, activated. It's been activated since I was a child, basically since I was a kid. Well, since I was a baby. So with that being said, I've already has access to my power and my potential, but all of you can get the same power and potential with my help and my training. So this is where the Hashira training arc begins. Now, it's going to be the opposite of what everything's going to play out. So Tanjiro is going to be basically training each and every individual to unlock their Demon Slayer mark. Mitsuri, she ended up unlocking hers. Muichiro ended up unlocking hers through... It was very difficult for them because they had to push themselves to basically strive off of Tanjiro's attacks. Now, Tanjiro with Sanemi, he really had to beat the living daylights out of Sanemi because Sanemi did something that was disgraceful. So Sanemi, when his brother Genya came there to meet him and everything, he almost plucked his eyes out. And this is where Tanjiro breaks Sanemi's fingers and tells him, don't ever do that in my viewpoint again. A person who attacks their siblings is no friend or no Demon Slayer comrade of mine. If I see you do that again, I might just give up on the corpse and just kill you myself because you're no better than a demon. Now this pisses like Sanemi off. Not only did you just break my fingers, but you just said I'm no worse than I'm no better than a demon. Sanemi would look at Tanjiro and he would just have this angry scowl on his face and he would rush at Tanjiro and both of them would get into a scuffle with each other, but Tanjiro ended up knocking Sanemi out. And this is where Sanemi would wake up and he would say, can you stop it with your whole tough guy act or whatever you got going for yourself and please focus on training. I will do it again. Can't any one of you stop me? You can't. I'm training you for the better of the Demon Slayer Corps. But don't do that when your brother is trying his hardest to gain your love, to gain your affection, to wonder why you abandoned him. Now, with that being said, you get up because your training is going to be increased 60 times over. Tanjiro basic eyes just go blur and he see like his blade just becomes like you see this basically smoke type thing over his blade just for visual effects, and Tanjiro basically just breathes out as he makes Sanemi's training harder than usual. And Sanemi really has fear of Tanjiro right now because right now he just sees Tanjiro as someone who is a mountain and he's nothing but an ant. And to be honest, that's all you are. I'm just saying that because if it was Yoriichi, you really couldn't stand up to him anyway. So, with all that being said, Tanjiro would then tell him, good, you're passed and everything. And you even awaken your Demon Slayer mark. That's good. Now, the thing is with the Demon Slayer marks in this one, I'm going to change them around a little bit. So, they're going to be more like a transformation. And when they come on, like when the Demon Slayer marks appear, they're going to be more like just boosting your power. It's not going to kill you at age 25. So, everybody gets to live out their life like intended. So, yeah, everybody's going to have a happy ending. Anyway, so he focused on training Sanemi. He trains Genya. He trains Genya, yeah. And he also trains Guillaume. He trains Muichiro and Mitsuri already got trained. But he trains the rest of the pillars to awaken their Demon Slayer mark. Now, everyone does awaken their Demon Slayer mark, but it heavily puts a strain on their body and it tires out their stamina. Basically, it exhausts them. So they have to train more to maintain their Demon Slayer mark. Anyway, now with that being said, everything plays out the same way it did with the Hashira training art. Now, we're not going to go too much deep into the Infinity Castle. We're going to save that for part 5. Because I'm going to do a lot of studying on that and I'm going to do a lot of reading up on that so I can basically make it accurate. But I hope you guys like part 4 to What If Tanjiro Was Yoriichi Sugakuni's Reincarnation. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys want to see for part 5? What you want to see me change up, what you want me to see me do. Anyway, without any further ado, you guys have a good day, a good night, and plus ultra. Good night, guys.